Hello everyone, this is Dr. Gebrick again. We are learning labor economics and this is the labor demand chapter, very last part. In this part, we are going to talk about an application. We're going to talk about California's overtime regulation and labor demand for different genders, number one. And we're going to apply difference and differences estimator we learned in the previous chapter. Remember natural experiments? We learned in the previous chapter. So we're going to use the difference and differences estimators. Let's go. Let's get started. So this example pertains to California's overtime regulations and labor demand. This is a paper by Dr. Hamermesh and Dr. Trejo. 1938 Fair Labor Standard Act basically said that the covered workers, so it's some industries, almost all, they were paid, workers are paid 1.5 times their wage for overtime. And federal labor laws basically says that you have to work 40 hours or more to qualify for 1.5 pay. Okay? So, but each state may have their own extra regulation, and California had one. So before 1974, California had a little bit different overtime regulation. Only women, this only applied to women. So men, yes, they got 1.5 times a wage after they worked 40 hours. For women, it was actually after 8 hours of work daily. People usually work 8 hours per day, 5 days, that's 40 hours. You work more than 40 hours, you got overtime. For California women, they got overtime for any hours they worked more than 8 hours per day. Interesting. So you could actually work 1 day a week for 9 hours, you still got overtime, even if you work no other hours the entire week. So this applied to California women. And let's say if you only work 10 hours twice a week, that 2 days only, federal law says no overtime, right? Because you need to pass 40 hours. You only work 20 hours. But California implies you work 10 hours for 2 days. So you surpassed 8 hours per day twice, right? By 2 hours. So you got 4 hours of overtime as a woman in California. So jobs are packages, remember this, and employees choose the best package, right? The workers choose the best package, but employers provide those package options. So if I'm a California employer, why should I hire a woman if the jobs require 9 hours of work, but maybe like 2 days a week, 3 days a week, okay? So after 1974, there was a lawsuit, right? This regulation covered both men and women. So men were like, we're discriminated against, right? So they were like, we want this protection too. And they started having this protection for hourly workers. Labor demand theory says that, okay? What does labor demand theory says? Previously, women were more expensive after 8 hours per day. For men, you had to exceed 40 hours a week to start paying them overtime. Demand theory suggests that the number of men working for more than 8 hours should drop. Why? Because men are now expensive too. Women and men, after 8 hours per day, are equally expensive. So, what did the theory suggest again? Number of men working more than 8 hours a day should drop, okay? So we are going to do difference and differences estimator. This is before change. This is after change. Okay. What are we looking at? Percentage of workers who work 8+ hours per day. Right. We have difference and differences estimator. You have treatment group. This is treatment group is California men. California men. Percentage of California men working more than 8 hours per day. I'm just going to put Y, okay? We're going to do after treatment group, okay? Minus Y. Y is the percentage of workers who work 8+ hours per day. Treatment group, California men, right? Before. This C is extra, ignore. Parentheses. Minus outcome, percentage of workers who work 8+ hours per day after control group minus before control group. Okay, So this is California men after treatment, 16.9, right? So I expect it to go down, 16.9% worked more than 8 hours per day, minus before 1973 policy change, 17.1% of these men worked more than 8 hours per day. Interesting. So there's a decline of 0.2%. Was this the policy issue? Maybe there is a trend in the nation, right? So you need to take off the control group. Control group is a group that had no change. So they did two control groups. Control group 1 is California women. They always had 8+ hour rule. So after policy change, 7.2%, right, started working. 7.2% working more than 8 hours a day, minus before policy change it was only 4%. So actually there is a demand for workers with 8+ hours of work. So negative 0.2 minus 3.2, this is the impact if we use impact of this extension of overtime for those who work more than 8 hours. If we use California women as control group, how about, women is a different group than men. So how about we look at a different control group, control group 2. This is non-California men. They never had this 8-hour rule, okay? So after 22.8 minus before, this group also saw an increase in the 8+ hours work in this time period, 2.7%. So negative 0.2 minus 2.7, negative 2.9. Okay, so let's talk about this a little bit. Let's translate this to English. Difference in difference results. This natural experiments show that California overtime legislation reduced the probability of working 8+ hours for California men for 3.4 percentage points when the control group is California women, and 2.9 percentage points for robustness when the control group is non-California men. So this is a proof that if the price of an input goes up, overtime becomes more expensive, labor demand will go down. Okay, so this concludes our chapter, folks, and we finished this chapter. There's no part 11. I'll see you in the next chapter when we put labor supply and labor demand together. Bye.